Hello there, everyone. It is your boy Hunt back with another fantastic episode of Tabletop Recap. Big boy Chungus is finally back with us. Say hello, Big boy Chungus.
Oh, hey. Oh, I'm Big Boy Chungus.
Yeah, hooray, he's back. Let's give him a little round of applause. Uh, Big boy Chungus, would you like to tell everyone what today's episode is about?
Oh, actually, I think I need to leave.
Uh, we're just starting the podcast. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I just make poopies in my pants.
Oh,
Yeah, I gotta go find someone to change me.
you're a grown man.
Yeah, I still make poopies in my pants.
Oh well, that's too bad. Do you need me to call someone or
No, I'm just gonna go.
okay? uh, See you, bud. Bye. I'm just screwing around. Big boy Chuckus isn't here. It's just me again today. He's gonna be so mad. I do that bit all the time. He's gonna be so mad at me. Welcome back to Tabletop Recap. I'm your host Hunt. Big boy Chungus couldn't be here today. He has a busy few weeks, so I'm just recording some episodes by myself to kind of fill in the time gap until we can play games together again, or at least talk about gaming stuff together. Today, I want to do a Dungeons and Dragons episode uh, because I recently heard that a lot of people don't like pets or anything in Dungeons and Dragons. It appears to be mostly dungeon masters. And I was like, what? I've never had a problem with pets in D&D. Ever. That's insane. So what what I wanted to do was just kind of talk about some of the things that I've experienced personally with pets and familiars and things like that in Dungeons and Dragons, and say just how the different groups I've been with play them and everything. First up, I want to talk about my current character for our Waterdeep Dragon Heist playthrough, Mara, daughter of Stefber, half human lizard folk. She has a mule named Horseburger. And Horseburger, she loves him like a member of the family. But at the end of the day, he is uh, he's kind of for work and travel. He's always hitched to the cart, and when he's not hitched to the cart, he's in a stable. Eating, having nice shit, etc. Not reproducing, because mule maybe trying to, but not like successfully doing so. And he's just getting some rest and sleep in there as well, assuming he's not banging hardcore parkour. But we only use him for transportation, and we only use him for work. Just getting around the city and Mara doing her job because she's a courier. That's it. He was actually given to her by like this postmaster's guild or something. I don't know. Big boy Chungus is the DM. He should really be here. And that's that. So I don't have to worry about Horseburger really dying or anything. I don't have to worry about combat because I don't bring Horseburger into combat. If we have combat, Horseburger is probably not even really around. Horseburger's probably parked somewhere. Uh, so that's just kind of how we're doing that one. And then in Karen's campaign, which doesn't really have a name, it's just Karen's campaign, which hopefully we will continue someday. Karen and Kami are busy, they got a lot going on, as do we, obviously, which is why I decided to just axe the schedule, because we were doing weekly and then we tried to do monthly and that didn't even work out. So that's why we're just kind of uploading when we can these days. But Kami started off the game with a dog. And what we did with this dog that was special was, according to I think the rules of D&D, pets and animal companions and familiars are all supposed to get their own initiative. And that's just too much. It's more to keep track of. It makes things take longer. So what we do instead is whoever's familiar or pet it is, if it's in combat, it just gets initiative with the player character they're associated with. Just gets the initiative with them. So that dog gets the initiative that Carrick, I believe, was Kami's character's name. It's been a long time since we played, but I think that was his name. I always remember it because I think he was a farm boy, and maybe he had carrots, and his name is Carrick. That's how I remember. If he wasn't a farm boy, I probably wouldn't remember. I just kind of got to remember Carrot and then Carrick. So I think it's correct. And then we've also had a couple imps recently. Connor's character, whose name I don't remember. I'm sorry. I don't remember his character's name. In Descent into Avernus, which we need to finish soon. And also Tywin. I think that was the Big Boy Chungus's character in Karen's campaign. They both ended up with imps, I believe. And what we do with imps is basically the same. We'll have the imps go on that player character's turn. So that way the player character can have everything ready to go, know exactly what they want their familiar or pet to do. It just all works out that way. Now, roleplay wise, we do things kind of separate. So in combat, the player that a pet is associated with will decide what they do. But when you're not in combat, the role play of the pet or familiar is done by the DM. So let's look at Slobberchops from Descent into Avernus. It's a Tressum, a big ol' hairy cat with wings that can see invisible things and detect poison. Keokat's character, whose name I also don't remember. I don't remember a lot of the Descent into Avernus characters' names. She, Guinevere? I think it was Guinevere. Something like that. Guinevere, something along those lines. It just hit me. Because they were a cat person, and I have a friend whose cat's name is Gwen. So then it came back to me. I know I got these long, complicated ways to remember characters' names, but there are so many characters. So Guinevere kind of stole that cat from a bunch of evil nobles. And it's following her around. And Big Boy Chungus does the role play for the kitty. But if the cat enters combat, Keokat has to do the combat. And that's kind of a decent segue into my next point. If an animal isn't in combat, don't kill it. Don't kill someone's pet outside of combat. A familiar that can be like resummoned, that's different because they're not dead, they're just kind of gone. And what do you have to do? Like give up 10 gold in an hour a time to resummon a familiar or something? I don't remember. I haven't had a familiar. I've had a pet, but I haven't had a familiar. Ever, actually, now that I think about it. So familiar, I mean, you can kill them outside combat, but maybe don't kill someone's pet outside of combat. Most of us have probably had pets die in real life. There was actually a Dungeons and Dragons session that we played once for Karen's campaign where we actually had to take a break because I had recently had a pet that I had had my entire life die. He was 28 years old. He was 28 years old. He was a turtle. He was older than me. And he had died like the day before. And I was like, guys, I gotta take a cry break. I gotta take a break and kind of get myself together here. And luckily I have really good supportive friends who were very nice and helpful and made me feel better. But like, imagine, like your cat in game dying, and then you think about like a pet cat that you had that died, and then you're sad. You're just sad the rest of the game. Don't kill someone's pet outside of combat. But if you're a DM, I would, in session 0, maybe work out the pet rules with everybody. You know, especially when it comes to the death of pets. You know? Because that can be touchy. Because, like, there's stuff that offends people and etc. Like, in our session 0s, we always say no sex crimes. No sex-based crimes are in this game. Even if they're written into a module, it's rewritten. It's taken out. We do not have sex-based crimes in our games ever. I will not be in any group that is that has those in the story. I won't do it. And then pets dying, I think, is something else that should be talked about. And you should, just in session 0s where you lay out all these sensitive stuff, what everyone is and isn't okay with. I had to do that with Call of Cthulhu before. I was like, hey, is child death something that's okay with everyone? Is suicide something that's okay with everyone? Are those things we can talk about? Because this is a horror game and it can get dark. And insanity is a major component of the game. And so, therefore, so is mental illness. So what can we and can't we do here? Do the same thing with pets. If I was a DM, I would say, here's the deal. I will not kill a pet outside of combat. But if you bring the pet into combat, you have to understand they're not invulnerable. They are not invincible, and they are not all powerful. If they're in combat, enemies will defend themselves. And there is a risk that they could die. That's a risk. Okay. And if they're okay with that, they're okay with that. If they're not, then maybe make a no pets in combat rule. But honestly, I don't think anyone's going to have a big issue with a familiar dying since they can just be resummoned. Honestly. But still, make all kinds of pet rules. One complaint I've heard from DMs is that players try to recruit every animal, especially druid players. You don't have to let them do that. Even if they roll super well, say you have a druid in your party and they keep making animals their friends and wanting these animals to follow them around. If there are just 1 or 2 pets in the party, what I would usually do is just I wouldn't ask about pet care and stuff. Most people, when they role play stopping to eat, are going to say that they give the animals some food as well. At least in my experience, playing with anyone. In Karen's campaign, whenever we stopped to eat, there was never a time when Carrick did not give his dog, whose name I don't remember, food. Keocat would always feed Slobberchops before she ate anything herself. Horseburger just gets fed at the stable. Horseburger just gets fed while he's at the stable by guild people, so Mara doesn't have to feed Horseburger at all, technically. But she'd give him a treat, if she had one. Plus, it's only been, 2 sessions? Come on. We still got time for stuff to happen. But then, if they start getting tons of pets, one thing that I would maybe do as a DM is start making them do pet care. If there's 5 pets in the party between 3 players, maybe be okay, these pets are going to need food and water. You're going to have to take time to brush them and play with them and train them, maybe even if you want them in combat. If an animal you just picked up out of the forest, you want it to join in combat, you have to train it to fight, maybe. 1 or 2 animals, I'd say that's not worth the time. But if there's a ton of animals and you don't want there to be, that might be a good way to kind of be hey, this is becoming too much. Or you could just over the table say, guys, there's too many animals. I'm the dungeon master and I have to roleplay all of them. I know in combat you handle them, but it's a lot for me to juggle. Can we maybe downsize? Or maybe say that beforehand. Have a pet cap. 1 animal and or familiar per person, per character. which is totally fair. Or maybe you could have the pet care stuff at the beginning, even if there's only one pet in the whole party, as a way to kind of keep them from trying to adopt a ton. And then there are also animals that they're just wild animals that can't necessarily be tamed. You know? I mean, if someone tries, especially if they're like fictional monster ones, like say someone wants to tame a giant frog or something, maybe they do. But if someone's trying to tame a wild animal and not something that's domesticated, maybe after a certain period of time, they have to do an animal handling check. And if they fail that animal handling check, the wild animal will just run off into the wilderness and disappear like wild animals do. Like, yeah, you gave me some food and I was willing to help you out and I followed you around for a while, but when when it stopped being as lucrative or didn't become as lucrative as the animal would think, it ran off. Maybe it wanted to smash. Maybe it needs a mate. It's mating season, so it's off for that. Maybe it was a pack animal, and now it's been separated from its pack, and it doesn't want to be around these humanoids anymore. It wants to go find a pack again, of its own kind. Wild animals, just because someone rolls a good check, doesn't mean that they get it forever. Even if they roll a nat 20 to tame this wild animal, that doesn't mean the animal's instantly domesticated and subservient to them. I mean, what if someone rolled a nat 20 to tame, like, a basilisk? Like, if that happened, and it was like some horrible monster that would break the game if it joined them, maybe just have the monster become disinterested in them and stop attacking instead. Like, the monster's like, you know what, these people are pretty chill. Maybe I'll just wander off. A nat 20 doesn't mean the player gets everything they want. It just means they're successful. Keep that in mind. Roll a nat 20 to tame an animal. If it's not something that could actually even be tamed, maybe it just doesn't fight and is friendly, but like maybe it won't. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll join the party. And if it is something that could feasibly join the party, but is a wild animal, and you don't really want it to stick around, you can just have them roll animal checks every once in a while, because it's not domesticated. It's wild. Maybe a once-a-day animal handling check. I think that's fair. But once again, no matter what your rules are for pets, make sure that they are known in session 0. I sadly could not attend the Waterdeep session 0, but most of the rules laid out in it were just rules that I had already known from Descent into Avernus, or had helped come up with. And we were really only getting one new player in on kind of our group rules and stuff. But we haven't really formally laid out pet rules as much, and I think that's because we've never really had a problematic thing with pets. So I guess we just haven't thought about pets in session 0. But, if you're a party that has the pets, you has the pets. Because, I mean, I'm just now remembering another time I had a pet. In the Sunless Citadel, when I was playing Clarence Spellshell, Tortle Druid, I actually did end up with a pet giant rat. Now, I didn't ask for the pet, so what Clarence does, if he's fighting an animal that's an animal, he'll try to stop and not fight the animal. He won't run straight into combat with an animal. He'll try to reason with the animal, and if the animal still fights, then he'll defend himself if he has to, But one time I rolled a nat 20 to convince a giant rat to just let us pass by, and the rat just, clung to me. And that's that. That's just what happened. That was the DM's choice. And then, of course, that rat was immediately killed, almost. And it was my fault. Absolutely crapsa tootly. Of jorts, it was my fault. Which, yeah, that's just some of my personal experiences with pets in D&D. DMs, no matter what, make sure the players know how you feel about pets and know how they feel about pets, and make the rules for pets very clear in session 0. Players, go easy on your DM. If you want a pet, that's fine, I guess, but just talk it over with your DM first. If a pet's going to be killed, let them know, okay? Just let everyone know. In combat, a pet can be killed. Don't kill a pet outside of combat, for Christ's sake. Just don't do it. Absolutely crapsatootly. For the fucking love of God, don't kill a pet outside of combat. For any reason. And if you have a story idea, maybe for killing a pet outside of combat, check with the player first. Always check with the player first. Always. So, that's it, I guess. That's just some of my thoughts on pets and even familiars in D&D. Thank you all very much for your support. Big Boy Chungus will be back soon enough. I'm thinking maybe... I don't know. I'm not sure. Because I know he said it'd be like 3 weeks before he could hang again. I think he's doing... I know he's going to some cons, or a con, but I think he also has volunteer work that he's going to do as well. We'll just have to see. So that's it. Thank you all once again. And I'll see you all next time.